Big U had Nipsey Hussle killed. Everybody know that.
Thought Big U gave wrong information. 30 minutes later, the homies blowing me up like they just killed Nipsey.
For years, the streets have whispered that Big U had something to do with Nipsey's death. But now, the man who actually pulled the trigger is stepping up with the truth, and he's backing up those claims. He says the setup came from inside the Rolling 60s, but that's just the tip of what he revealed in court. Let's break it down. The murder case and courtroom drama. On that fateful Sunday afternoon of March 31st, 2019, the hip-hop game changed forever when Nipsey Hussle caught a fatal fade outside his Marathon clothing store. The murder of Ermias Joseph Asghedom, known in the streets and the industry as Nipsey Hussle, sent shockwaves not just through the music scene, but through hoods nationwide that looked at this man as more than just another rapper spitting bars. Nip was a straight-up entrepreneur, activist, and most importantly, a beacon of hope for the Crenshaw district where he came up. The whole situation popped off mad quick. Around 3:20 p.m., shots started busting in the shopping center parking lot where Nip's store was holding it down. What should have been just another day of grinding and building community turned into straight chaos. Neighborhood Nip wasn't just hit. He caught at least 10 bullets in a savage attack that left him with zero chance. Despite the EMTs trying to save his life, he was pronounced dead at 3:55 p.m., just 35 minutes after getting lit up. But this wasn't some random op trying to make a name. It wasn't a lick gone wrong. This beef was personal, straight up. The trigger man was identified as Eric Ronald Holder Jr., a 29-year-old who had way more in common with Nipsey than most people even realize. Both these cats grew up in the same hood and both were affiliated with the same set, the Rolling 60s neighborhood Crips. That shared background makes the whole situation extra sus, since normally gang ties create bonds, not deadly funk. So what sparked this deadly confrontation? According to what came out in court, it all started with a conversation, a tense but initially chill exchange about something mad sensitive in gang culture, snitching. Witnesses testified that Nipsey had put Holder on notice about paperwork floating around that suggested he might be working with the boys in blue, essentially letting him know that word on the street was he might be an informant. In the unwritten code of the streets, ain't nothing worse than having your name associated with snitching. Nipsey reportedly told Holder, "I heard there was some paperwork floating around. You need to take care of that," a statement that wasn't delivered as a threat but more like looking out. However, this conversation, despite being relatively low-key, got Holder in his feelings for real. The idea that people might think he was telling on folks wasn't something he could just brush off his shoulders. Instead of continuing the convo or addressing the rumors head-on, Holder bounced, but he wasn't gone for good. He strapped up with both a revolver and a semi-automatic and came back to confront Hussle. What happened next was caught on surveillance and witnessed by several people posted up in the area. Holder walked up on Hussle and let that thing bang, busting shots repeatedly with clear intent to body him. The attack was so violent that after Hussle dropped to the ground, Holder kicked him in the dome before dipping from the scene. The shooting wasn't just about Nip either. Two innocent bystanders, Shermy Villanueva and Kerry Lathan, also caught strays in the hail of bullets. Lathan's injuries were especially brutal, with a bullet lodged in his spine, leaving him wheelchair-bound after the incident. These additional victims just showed how reckless Holder was, having zero regard for collateral damage when he decided to spray. After the shooting, Holder fled the scene rocking a red shirt and bandana, using his girlfriend, Brianita Nicholson, as an unwitting getaway driver. According to what she told the court, he pressed her, saying, "Drive before I slap you," showing just how heated he was after the shooting. The cops launched a manhunt, but Holder wasn't on the run for long. He got scooped just 2 days later on April 2nd, 2019 in Bellflower, Los Angeles, when he turned himself in at a mental health spot. This detail about seeking mental health help would later become part of his defense strategy during the trial. The legal process moved forward with Holder catching an indictment from a grand jury on charges including 1 count of first-degree murder, 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder, later reduced, 1 count of possession of a firearm by a felon, and other related charges. At first, Holder had some high-profile legal representation from attorney Chris Darden, known for being part of the O.J. Simpson trial. However, Darden bounced from the case after receiving death threats, showing just how emotionally charged this case was for many in the community. After that, Holder got a public defender named Aaron Jansen to rep him. The actual trial didn't pop off until June 2022, more than 3 years after the shooting, partly because COVID had the whole court system backed up. During the proceedings, 2 different stories emerged. The prosecution, led by Deputy District Attorney John McKinney, argued that the killing was premeditated murder, saying there was no doubt Holder knew in advance he was going to smoke Hussle. They pointed to how he left the scene, grabbed his heat, and came back specifically gunning for Hussle as clear evidence of premeditation. The defense team, meanwhile, took a different angle. They claimed the shooting happened in the heat of passion, suggesting that Holder got so triggered by the snitching accusation that he acted on impulse rather than with a plan. This distinction was crucial because it could potentially knock the charge down from first-degree murder to voluntary involuntary manslaughter, which would mean a much lighter sentence. The defense also brought up Holder's mental health, suggesting his state of mind might have been off when everything went down. One thing that made the trial tricky was getting witnesses to actually speak up. The street code against cooperating with law enforcement was on full display when victim Carrie Lathan took the stand, initially claiming, "I don't know nothing, don't see nothing," a classic response in cases involving gang activity where witnesses worry about getting labeled as rats. After the jury deliberated, they found Holder guilty of first-degree murder on July 6, 2022, rejecting the defense's heat of passion argument. They also convicted him on 2 counts of attempted voluntary manslaughter for the bystanders who got hit, which was a reduced charge from the initial attempted murder counts. The sentencing phase brought another major moment in this tragic saga. On February 22, 2023, Los Angeles County Superior Court Judge H. Clay Jackie gave Holder 60 years to life in prison. This heavyweight sentence included 25 years to life for the murder, another 25 years to life for using a gun, and 10 years for shooting the 2 bystanders. The case seemed wrapped up, with Holder getting shipped off to start his lengthy bid. But in the years since the conviction, new allegations and connections have surfaced, particularly about a dude known as Big U and his potential role in the bigger picture surrounding Nipsey Hussle's murder. These developments have got people talking about the case again and wondering if there's more to this story than what came out in court. The death of Nipsey Hussle wasn't just about losing a talented artist, it represented cutting short a real one's journey to uplift his people. Hussle had been putting in work to transform the very neighborhood where he came up, investing in local businesses, creating educational opportunities through projects like Vector 90, and planning to redevelop the strip mall, housing his store into mixed-use property with affordable housing. His memorial service on April 11, 2019, at the Staples Center drew thousands, with a 25-mile funeral procession through the community, showing just how deep his impact was. Even more remarkable was how his death inspired peace talks among rival gangs, including the Rollin' 40s and Rollin' 60s, demonstrating how even after getting killed, Hussle continued to be a force for positive change in the community. But as we're about to get into in the next segment, the complete story of Nipsey Hussle's murder might involve more players and more complex motives than what came out in the courtroom. The conviction of Eric Holder Jr. might have been just one piece of a larger, more disturbing puzzle, one that potentially involves figures like Eugene Big U Henley and allegations of a broader conspiracy that's only recently started to surface. Big U's rise, fall, and allegations. Eugene Big U Henley is a name that carries mad weight in South Central Los Angeles. Born around 1966, he grew up in a single-parent household in the same streets that would later be transformed by Nipsey Hussle's community efforts. His story is full of contradictions, a tale of violence and redemption, street cred and community leadership, criminal allegations, and supposed philanthropic work. To really understand what might have gone down with Nipsey Hussle's murder, we gotta examine Big U's complex history and the recent charges that have put him back in the spotlight. Big U started getting active in the gang life early on. He put in work with the Rollin' 60s neighborhood Crips, the same set Nipsey would later claim. By the 80s, he had established himself as a major player in the gang, with his presence noted during a wild riot at a Run DMC concert in Long Beach in 1986. During this event, gang violence popped off, resulting in dozens of people getting hurt. Years later, in the 2021 documentary Hip Hop Uncovered, Big U claimed he played a role in starting this riot, though the specifics of what he did weren't really documented in news reports back then. His rap sheet took a serious turn in December 1991 when he got bagged for trying to rob an undercover sheriff's deputy of 33 pounds of cocaine. This wasn't some petty crime. It was a major sting operation that resulted in him getting sentenced on July 21st, 1992 to 23 years in the pen. Though the sentence was heavy, he ended up only serving 13 years, likely due to good behavior or other legal reductions, and got released around 2005. What's particularly interesting about his trial is that despite claiming he wasn't gang affiliated, gang experts described him as a shot caller, if not the top dog, in the Rollin' 60s. This established his significant rank within the gang hierarchy, a position that supposedly continued even while he was locked up. After getting out of prison around 2005, Big U appeared to be on some reform tip. He broke into the music and film industry, managing notable artists including Nipsey Hussle. This relationship with Hussle is particularly important to note as it connects these two figures directly. Big U wasn't just some random associate, he was a mentor during Hussle's come-up in the music game. Beyond the entertainment hustle, Big U founded Developing Options, a nonprofit organization supposedly aimed at reducing gang violence and supporting youth education. According to his interviews, the organization helped over 150 young people get into college, focusing on reducing gang influence in the community. This work painted him as a reformed OG, using his past experiences to create positive change. After Nipsey Hussle got murked in 2019, Big U organized a unity march, further cementing his image as a community leader working toward healing. However, behind Behind this public persona of redemption, the feds were building a case that would suggest a completely different reality. In March 2025, federal authorities accused Big U of running a mafia-like criminal enterprise known as the Big U Enterprise, with charges detailed in a 107-page federal complaint. These allegations represented a shocking contrast to his public image as a reformed gang member and community activist. Among the most serious charges was the murder of 21-year-old aspiring rapper Rayshawn Williams in January 2021. Williams, who had been flown to Las Vegas by Unique Music, an independent record label connected to Big U, for a recording. Opportunity allegedly created a diss track believed to be aimed at Big U. According to the federal complaint, Williams started missing studio sessions because he didn't have transportation, which Big U allegedly took as mad disrespectful since he had personally vouched for the rapper to Unique Music. The complaint states, "I believe that Williams wasting the time, thereby disparaging Big U's name and the Big U Enterprise's reputation, and potentially flouting that disrespect with the lyrics of the diss song, led to a dispute." This allegedly prompted Big U and his associate, Demetrius Meach Robinson, to drive from Los Angeles to Las Vegas to pull up on Williams. What allegedly followed was some straight-up foul play. According to the federal complaint, on January 24, 2021, Big U showed up at the studio around 7 p.m. Williams rolled through later and recorded until midnight. At approximately 12:30 a.m., Big U bounced from the studio. Notably, his phone stopped reporting GPS location data around 1 a.m. and only started back up at 2:15 a.m., a gap that would become significant in the investigation. At 1:13 a.m., surveillance footage captured a dark gray or silver sedan pulling up at Williams' Airbnb. Williams got out the passenger side, went inside, grabbed his suitcase, and left again, despite not being scheduled to check out until the next day and having a return flight booked for then as well. This unusual behavior suggested something was definitely off. At 3 a.m., Big U returned to the studio solo, looking drenched in either sweat or water. When asked about it, he claimed he had been at the gym, an explanation that investigators later found sus. The following morning, at 9 a.m. on January 25th, Williams' body was discovered in a ditch near a Las Vegas landfill. He had been shot in the face with what investigators believed was a revolver, a weapon that doesn't leave behind shell casings, making it harder to connect to a specific shooter. The investigation revealed that after the murder, Big U allegedly ordered studio recording equipment to be moved and surveillance footage to be destroyed, footage that might have caught Big U and Williams leaving the studio together on the night of the killing. While DNA evidence from Big U compared to samples from Williams' body was inconclusive, authorities didn't rule him out as a suspect in the murder. Beyond this alleged body, the federal charges against Big U included a whole range of other criminal activities. He was accused of extorting businesses and individuals, forcing them to check in for protection, with specific instances like allegedly shaking down a marijuana dispensary for $25,000 monthly. There was even video evidence of this extortion scheme, with Big U recorded threatening anyone who dared film in the hood without permission.
Anytime you want to do movies in the hood, just check it in. We can make sure it's done. Movies, videos. But if you don't check it in,
Oh well, just gonna check your ass out.
we're gonna check you in, all right? We're gonna check in all of your equipment.
Additionally, fraud allegations involved him jacking donations from big names like Draymond Green and Shaquille O'Neal, each allegedly for $20,000, and fraudulently securing $2.35 million from the Gang Reduction and Youth Development Program between 2018 and 2023. These charges painted a picture of a sophisticated criminal operation using legitimate businesses and nonprofits as fronts. The federal indictment also named 18 other individuals alongside Big U, including rappers Loose Cannon and Brick Baby, both associated with the popular No Jumper podcast platform. Acting United States Attorney Joseph McNally didn't hold back. The allegations in the complaint unsealed today reveal a criminal enterprise that engaged in murder, extortion, human trafficking, and fraud, all led by a supposed anti-gang activist and purported music entrepreneur who was nothing more than a violent street criminal. The assistant director in charge of the FBI's Los Angeles field office added, "The lead defendant and others in this case have for too long gotten away with violent acts and stealing money from taxpayers and well-intentioned donors, whether they use intimidation tactics or wield influence as purportedly rehabilitated original gangsters." Big U turned himself in after initially being on the run and pleaded not guilty to a 43-count indictment on April 10th, 2025. If convicted, he's looking at potential life in the box. His trial is scheduled for May 20th, 2025, with various legal proceedings still ongoing. Now, this is where the story gets even more wild, especially when it comes to Nipsey Hussle's murder. While the official story has been that Eric Holder Jr. acted alone, motivated by the Snitches snitching accusation, allegations have emerged suggesting a potential conspiracy involving Big U. On the No Jumper podcast, Loose Cannon made some jaw-dropping claims that implicated Big U in Hussle's murder. According to Loose, Big U called him just 30 minutes before Nipsey got shot, claiming Hussle had been killed. Confused by this info, Loose then hit up Nipsey directly.
And I'm on a phone, he FaceTimed me. So he FaceTimed me and stuff like that. He was like, Nipsey just got killed. I'm like, so I didn't hear that. So I hang up with him. I called Nipsey and I'm like, Nipsey, what's up? He was like, oh, what's up with it?
Nipsey answered.
Nipsey answered.
Loose went on to claim that shortly after, speaking with Nipsey.
After I talked to Nipsey and I was like, yeah, I love you, cuz, or whatever like that. I'll see you later or whatever. So I hung up the phone. I thought Big U gave wrong information. 30 minutes later, the homies blowing me up like they just killed Nipsey.
If true, this account is straight up chilling. How would Big U know about Nipsey's murder before it went down? This alleged foreknowledge suggests potential involvement in a conspiracy, a serious allegation that contradicts the court-established narrative of Eric Holder acting solo. These claims got more attention when controversial figure Charleston White made similar allegations.
And Big U had Nipsey Hussle killed. Everybody know that. Everybody know Big U, nigga called that hit, nigga.
White suggested that jealousy was the motive, claiming the rolling 60s Crips were envious of Hussle's growing influence.
They was really jealous of Nipsey Hussle, homie. All the big homies in the set was jealous of Nip, cause all the young niggas love Nip. So Nip had got bigger than the set, cuz. Nigga, every Nip had got bigger than the set.
Loose Cannon didn't stop at these allegations. He also exposed Big U's alleged criminal methods, describing how the gang leader would orchestrate licks and then return partial amounts to victims as part of an extortion scheme.
We'll go and do something, and the same do it to show up to the house like 10 minutes later when we trying to, counting everything, right? And we be like, how the get that? Oh, well, we're gonna just give them like $40,000 back and stuff like that. But cuz it's actually putting us in paperwork, right?
These allegations appeared in the federal indictment, suggesting that this was Big U's way of having businesses pay for protection, a classic mafia-style operation. The connection between the No Jumper podcast and the federal case became crystal clear when Big U, while turning himself in, put the blame on 3 regulars on the platform, Loose Cannon, 600, and Whack 100, for running their mouths about street business online.
When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about Whack. Whack, Loose Cannon, 600, and this internet stuff. All of y'all fired. All y'all who be sending around the internet, all y'all who be promoting and listening to what these niggas in.
It's worth noting that the No Jumper podcast was specifically mentioned in the indictment, with comments made on the platform potentially linking individuals to the gang's alleged criminal activities. As the legal process continues to play out, the full truth about Big U's alleged criminal enterprise and any potential connection to Nipsey Hussle's murder remains to be determined in court. However, these allegations have definitely cast a shadow over the initial narrative presented during Eric Holder Jr.'s trial. The irony of Big U's situation is wild. He had portrayed himself as an anti-gang activist and community leader, even organizing peace marches after Hussle's death. Yet, according to federal authorities, this was all a front masking ongoing criminal activities. As the assistant director of the FBI's Los Angeles field office put it, Big U was hiding in plain sight, using the oldest trick in the book. This brings us back to Eric Holder Jr. and the question that forms the basis of our title. Did Nipsey Hussle's killer apologize in court and snitch on Big U? The evidence we've examined suggests a more complex answer than a simple yes or no. Let's break it down. The truth about the apology and snitching allegations. During Holder's sentencing in February 2023, his father submitted a letter apologizing for the pain caused to Hussle's family. This letter, read by Superior Court Judge H. Clay Jackie, stated, "I know there are not enough words or apologies that will fill the void, the loss, the pain, the deep sorrow the family of Ermias Asghedom is experiencing. However, and this is crucial to understand, there is zero record of Holder himself apologizing directly in court. The apology came from his pops, not from Holder personally. This distinction is important because it contradicts the claim that Holder himself expressed remorse during the court proceedings. Interestingly, during Holder's trial, there wasn't a single mention of Big U being involved in Hussle's murder, and Holder never implicated anyone else in the crime. Holder was the only one convicted for the murder, with the story presented in court being that he acted alone, triggered by the accusation of snitching. In fact, evidence suggests the complete opposite of Holder dropping dime on Big U. In a YouTube video from September 2024 titled, "The Truth the World Has Been Waiting For," Eric Holder exposes Big U for the murder murder of Nipsey Hussle. Holder actually denied Big U's involvement, saying that Big U was too old to be calling shots in gang activities and emphasizing that he had no benefit from Hussle's death. Rather than snitching on Big U, this statement contradicts the whole notion of Holder ratting him out.
Basically what he's saying is Big U too old to even have any say-so in what they doing.
The accusations against Big U regarding Nipsey Hussle's murder come mainly from individuals like rapper SKG, who claimed in March 2025 that Big U terrorized her and Crenshaw, suggesting his involvement in Hussle's murder. However, these claims don't have official backing and weren't part of Holder's testimony or the evidence presented at his trial. What we do know for sure is that the federal indictment against Big U dropped in March 2025 does not include charges related to Nipsey Hussle's murder. Despite all the rumors circulating online, official legal documents don't establish a connection between Big U and Hussle's killing. The serious charges against Big U focus on other alleged crimes, including the murder of Rayshawn Williams, extortion, fraud, and racketeering. So why do these rumors keep spreading? One theory involves the complex dynamics within gang culture and the entertainment industry. The allegations against Big U came primarily from figures connected to the No Jumper podcast, particularly Loose Cannon. Big U himself suggested these individuals were exposing street business online, potentially compromising operations and leading to the federal investigation. There's also the possibility that these claims are part of internal power struggles or personal beefs. Charleston White's statement that jealousy motivated the alleged conspiracy against Hussle points to the complex social dynamics at play. If Hussle had indeed become bigger than the sect, as White claimed, this could have disrupted established hierarchies within the gang structure. The current status of the case against Big U and his co-defendants provides some additional context. After getting locked up in March 2025, Loose Cannon and Brick Baby are reportedly sharing a cell in a Los Angeles detention facility based on a phone call that went public. This arrangement suggests they're riding together during their legal battle. More significantly, there are indications that some co-defendants might be cooperating with the law. Specifically, Armani Afleji, a named co-defendant, has admitted to promoting prostitution and spoke with the FBI, as detailed in court documents. This cooperation could potentially provide crucial testimony against others in the case. The broader narrative around Nipsey Hussle's murder continues to evolve, influenced by these new allegations and the ongoing federal case against Big U. What started as a seemingly straightforward, if tragic, incident, a man retaliating against an accusation of snitching, has transformed into something potentially more complex and far-reaching. It's worth reflecting on the impact of Hussle's death beyond the legal drama. His murder inspired significant community responses, including peace talks between rival gangs like the Rollin' 40s and Rollin' 60s. These efforts, led by community figures, involved weekly meetings aimed at dialogue and reducing violence, with a reported 6% decline in gang crime from 2018 to 2019 and a 9% drop from April to December 2019 compared to the previous year. This unity movement reflected Hussle's vision for community healing and progress, even as controversies continued to swirl around the circumstances of his death. The LAPD's approach to Hussle after his murder highlighted ongoing tensions, as seen when bystander Kerry Lathan caught a violation for associating with Hussle, whom authorities still classified as a gang member despite his community work. Nipsey's legacy continues through the peace initiatives he inspired and the community projects he championed, even as controversies persist about the circumstances of his death and the true nature of those who once claimed to support his vision. If you enjoyed this video, click on the boxes playing on your screen to watch similar content if you enjoyed this video.